Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so happy New Year. Had a good night. Slept well. Everything is on the up and up. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Honestly, don't feel like getting out of bed and starting my routine or none of that. I don't even feel like cooking my own breakfast. That's how lazy this morning has been for your boy. But yeah, man, I'm feeling good. Feeling really good, actually. I just got through watching everything that I always do online, and what I saw was NBA YoungBoy's son, the little boxing one, and Floyd Mayweather, his granddaddy. And he was sitting there, they were doing a stance against each other. It's like, standing toe to toe. And it's one of those situations I'm just thinking, man, what a blessing it is for a dad or a grandfather to be able to spend so much time with a baby who is passionate about what you were great at. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like, what an amazing divine type of blessing. This is the type of stuff that money cannot buy. When you have your grandson, just by circumstances, always in your life, and you literally, arguably, and I don't know if it's arguable based on the record, the greatest of all time at a thing, and then that little baby who's always around you is super passionate and naturally gifted at what it is that you were super gifted and naturally great at. It's like, you know what I mean? To see that, and you know that he got it from his father, you know what I mean? And now he looks down at his grandbaby, and his grandbaby got it straight out the gate. Straight out the gate. I just wonder how that must be for Floyd Mayweather. I watched him just like everybody else has over the years, and sometimes some of the stuff that he was doing, you know what I mean, engaging in just certain things, lifestyle things, it looked like he was reaching for something that I don't know if the money was fulfilling. You know what I mean? Sometimes it would look like he's doing lavish stuff. He'd had money on the table, all the infamous memes and stuff that we've seen. But a lot of that stuff to me just felt like if he could buy what he has now with that little boy, he'd have bought all of it. He would have spent a lot of that money to assure what it is that he has right now. You know what I mean? With that little boy who's just giving you something that money can't buy, which is somebody you can give all of your gifts, all of your talent, all of it. You can just give it to that little baby. You can see he takes to the sport just naturally. It's not just like you forcing him to get it. No, he gets it, and he gets it at 1 year old. So now it's like you can see a path where Floyd Mayweather could take everything he's ever known about the sport that he loves the most and pour it into his own grandson, who likely will be just as passionate about him if he is. Now, kids could take a different path. He's a baby right now. Maybe he grows up and don't want to box at all. Who knows? Life is a lot of different things. But the way it's going right now, it just looked like Floyd Mayweather, something came into, it seems, I ain't heard him talk about it or nothing, but it seems like something has come into Floyd Mayweather's life in the form of this little kid. And it's just brought him some of that stuff that I thought was missing when he was showing us a lot of that stuff he was showing us maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, where he would be surrounded by a bunch of women doing all kinds of twerking and stuff like that. It just looked like an empty situation. It didn't look like it was fulfilling. It didn't have that. You know what I mean? And I listened to Floyd Mayweather's story and how he's, they were saying he grew up, he didn't really have much of a childhood. He didn't learn certain things he needed to learn or whatever. He was just all boxing, all lifelong, all boxing. You know what I mean? And I just wonder if he will pour that into his grandson, or will he take the understanding of that and give his grandson a bit more leeway to kind of have more of a childhood than he did, especially since they have, the wealth that they're able to provide him. It ain't no sense in grinding to the point where if he starts hating boxing or whatever, it becomes a situation where you're still instilling it in him like was given to him. So I'm just curious how that goes. Looking forward to seeing it. God willing, everything goes great with everybody over there. And it's just really dope, man. The whole thing is dope. Obviously, you guys follow me. I told you guys I put NBA YoungBoy on the list, my prayer list, about it's been recent. It ain't been that long, probably about a month ago. He's been on there for about a month. But I just look at some of the stuff that's been going on around him. His family is expanding. That's what it came to mind for me with NBA YoungBoy. While he's been dealing with the house arrest situation or whatever's going on for the last 2 years, he's also been expanding his family a great deal. And these little babies is popping up, you know what I mean? And it's like, whatever he was engaged in all this time, it's like now you're starting to get into a space where, you got a lot of a lot of people that you have to leave wealth to, a lot of people that you have to leave you know what I mean, a legacy for. It's not just about yourself and your wars or whatever it is that you were involved in prior to getting here for a guy like NBA, you know, and just like him and everybody else in this generation that he's in. They're coming out of childhood. That's what's happening for that generation. The generation that's from that mumble rap era, the little pumps and all them, they're growing up. And some of them been involved in stuff that was ignorant just because of the streets, you know what I mean? And now a guy like YoungBoy is starting to get money. He's starting and really starting to find deep success financially, stuff like that. It's like, it seems that he's trying to show people what's, you know, behind the curtain, so to speak, just like we've been talking about a million times. He's been on that mission. So I put him on the list because of that. And then I look at what has come. You know what I mean? The little boy over there in Floyd Mayweather's life, and I see what his son, YoungBoy's son, appears to be providing in Floyd Mayweather's life. And it's just like, you can see how God's working. You can see the connection there. And so, you know, it's one of those situations where it's like, as I pay attention to different things, as I told you guys, one of the people on the list had a baby yesterday and named her baby another person's name that's also on the list. That ain't a common name. I'm just watching God do certain things, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in the right place as it pertains to where I'm putting my spiritual energy. Obviously, I have my own family and people that I love. They get prayed for just the same. They're not excluded. But these different celebrities and random people that I don't know that are a part of this prayer list and stuff like that, I'm still seeing different things to this very second, where the Lord is showing me, see me, I'm there. See me, you chose to pray for these people. Now I want you to see how I'm in their lives, and I want you to, you know, tell people what you see, and that's what I'm doing. That's essentially what I'm telling you. It's just little stuff, man, little stuff, and it ain't something that I can sit up here and say God came from a divine cloud and dropped this on my head. No, it's just stuff coming in my imagination by way of my prayer thinking, you know, thinking positive thinking prayerful thoughts, and then the Lord just inserts certain things into my head, I suppose. You know, or they say the God within or whatever. I don't know what you believe in, but this is how I move. You know what I mean? As a Christian person who doesn't necessarily go to church at all, but still likes to respect the Bible, read it daily as instructed, and, you know, pray to God as I do. You know what I mean? And I tell you the truth, the Bible, I listen to people talk about the Bible. I don't really know if what I read in there is 100% accurate. I think that, you know, you have to blend faith and reality as it pertains to what goes on in that book, because faith is what you're applying to the words that you're seeing based on the fact that the original Bible was dedicated and supposed to be connected to the original source. But King James Version and various different versions have taken different things and moved them a different way and kind of messed around with the Bible as we understand has happened. And so now when I read it, I don't know that I'm spiritually connected to the words that are in there. For me, it's a symbolic representation of my dedication to the Lord by way of the understanding that I have about what it is that he wants for me, which is the Jesus Christ connection. That's why I read the Bible. But most of the time I've read the Bible in my life, I rarely took anything from it that I could really hold with me, to be honest with you. The stories are really good and things of that nature, but the way that I read it with one chapter at a time, and a lot of times the words are just blending, you know what I mean? I'm just reading it out of respect, to be completely honest with you guys. And the Lord knows that. And a lot of times, reading the Bible when I was a kid, the thous and these and different words that they spoke, it never quite made sense to me, to be honest with you. I wanted it simplified. And later on, of course, you find the Bible's versions that were simplified. It allowed you to understand them stories. But I just always felt like it was very complicated. You know what I mean? And granted, the Bible had been carried over for what, 400, 500, 600 years. So they spoke that way back then. So, you know, my natural inclination when thinking about it without having that inserted into it is like to say, oh, this is unnecessarily complicated. And I think that it's purposefully complicated so that people don't read it, even though they're supposed to read it. I always thought that about the Bible as a young child. I was like, why are these and thous in there? this is a deterrent to me wanting to read this, because I don't speak like this and I have to try to think my way around what it is they're trying to tell me. This is a deterrent, a very, very distinctive deterrent for wanting to read this literature. I've always thought that, but with the understanding that this is just a carryover from a long time and they just never changed it, I kind of let that slip out of my mind. But yeah, that's what it is. I just don't genuinely find myself looking to find entertainment from the Holy Bible. That's that's not what it is for me. For me, it's more so about just a dedication to the Lord. Every day just pick up whatever's in there, read it, skim it for a good chapter, and consider that the dedication every day. So that's what it is. It's like I'm saying this to say I'm not married to religion at all. I'm not married to it. I just understand that I was raised a certain religion. Because I was raised in a certain section by a certain family, I was given a certain religion. And since I haven't deviated from it, this is what I have. So that dedication to the Lord is to say, this is what you gave me to connect to you, and this is what I'll use because of it. Not to say that this is the right one or the wrong one. And I think a lot of people live their lives because they've been influenced by people to say this is the right religion or the wrong religion. This is what it is, and therefore. And a lot of the practices within those religions have to do with conflict and going against people and judging people and not being just stand still, but being proactive in policing others. So with that being said, it becomes a disconnect for me, because when I pray on the inside, it's not my job. I'm not a cop. I'm not a spiritual cop either. You know what I mean? So the disconnect, once it becomes okay, now you got to go in and knock on people's doors and make sure they get the word. That's not what my spirit tells me to do at all. That would be me listening to others and going against what my spirit is telling me to naturally do. And that's what I had to come to terms with. It's like a lot of people, when they're chasing religion, they don't have anything inside of them telling them to do nothing. They're looking for that. So when you already have that, and religion is just telling you the opposite or position against what it is that comes naturally to you, as a person who feels that way, has to keep that connection with God that is inherently there. But you got to filter the religion to say some of it's for you and some of it's not. That's what it is for me. So as I've studied what I have from the Christian religion, watched the positives and the negatives, watched different derivatives, so to speak, of the Christian faith do different things that are a reflection of that kind of thing, I just realized that I'm not a Christian person. No, because once it's time to have certain Christian conversations, I'm going to go against the Christian faith. But I believe in the Christ that they say they believe in. It's the truth. I believe in the Christ they say they believe in. I believe in the God who created the Christ they say they believe in. So however I get to that Christ and that kingdom, it's just going to be what it is. That's kind of how it is for me. Now, I've been in churches where I've really enjoyed myself and have had connections with God on multiple occasions. I've been to churches where I felt he was there. But I've also been to churches where I know he was not. Simply put, I know he was not. And that's just how real it is. So for me, it's like, the church is in my heart. I was thinking about that yesterday. One of the last thoughts I was thinking about to end the year of 2022. Because of the different things that I'm capable of doing based on the gifts that the Lord has given me. The things that I'm finding I'm capable of becoming good at if I were to start. I honestly believe that he gave me an entire church in my brain. I truly believe that. Now, whether or not I want to take the subject of Christianity and focus on it to the point where I become an expert at it so that can be a real thing is a whole nother story. But as far as being able to preach, I can do that. Being able to put together the music for the church, I can do that. It's like certain things that I think that come with the body of the church is in my skull, yo. It's in my skull. So it's like, I don't need the preacher to give me the wisdom that comes with the words. I don't need the preacher to tell me how to, speak to me in a certain way for me to funnel home the word. I can do that in my own head. I have that here. So it's just a lot of stuff. It's like, because I'm so strange, in my head it's so creative in the way that I see myself and feel to myself to be, that I don't actually believe myself as somebody who really genuinely needs that. I don't need that. Now, I may need the fellowship that comes with it, but as far as not having that, if we're not being somewhere else, that's not the reality I face in my life. I can be a preacher. I can pick up the Bible, find a whole section of what it is to talk about, and then create an entire sermon around it. I can do that very easily. So it's like, I don't need it, man. I like it for others, and I think it's important for most. And I think it may be important to me when I have children someday, because I want them to be raised in some type of foundation of spirituality that doesn't have my energy attached to it. You know what I mean? That fellowship is important for everyone's mind, except for mine, because I desire to be isolated. So for me, it's like I would rather not. You know what I mean? And that's to say, that's a level of growth I need to reach, because when your faith is at a certain space, the rather not also becomes something that you're curious, is there a possibility of something good being behind that box? I'd rather not turns into I'm curious about. But that's just the level of growth, you know what I mean? So as we continue to grow, we speak of where we are and then hope to be where we're going. But in the meantime, that's where it is for me. It's like I don't need to go to those places. I don't want to go to those places. I love those places and I love the people there, but I love myself isolated too. I like being able to not have to think about certain things that come with having to be in the presence of others. And the older I get, the more I realize it's exactly the way I am. And I don't think it's because I don't like people. Now, this is going to sound very strange, but this is my God's honest truth. I just think that I'm alive in the wrong time. The social spaces that I would otherwise be comfortable in, I've never heard of. I don't think I've been exposed to those things just yet. So for all that I've been in for all of my life, I'd rather be away from those things. Not away from everything, because I don't know of everything. And I can think of things that I would much rather be a part of that fit who I am. It's never been in those places. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Those places never were where my body was. And that's the key to it all. And I've come to understand that too. It's like, am I an isolated person? Yes, because of the village I was raised in. This ain't home for me. This place, the way they do things, how they do things here, and just the times we're in. The whole capitalistic chasing paper mentality. There's no way to escape that. I'm not about that. I'm one of the only people in the whole world that ain't about that. I'm truly not. It's not that I don't value what money can do for me. It's just that I value my time on earth to enjoy myself in whatever I'm doing more so than I care about what it is it takes to get that money. When 9 out of 10 times, the money is coming from a place, and we talk about this all the time, where the money is compromised, where the numbers aren't really being properly counted, where we know people are skimming from this person, giving it to that person, and people who have a little bit are left to receive very little going forward because of it. And it's like, and then I'm paying into situations so that people at the top can sit comfortably like I'm sitting right now. That's why I'm working so hard, so that they can have an opportunity to continue to afford themselves what it is that I'm deserving of, based on the fact that I'm willing to do so much while alone, isolated, as opposed to a lot of people who will sit in depression and not know what to do if they're in the space that I'm dying to be in. And that's the point. It's like, I'm nestled where I need to be, which is something I've said a lot of times in this therapy session video thing. I am who I need to be, I'm where I need to be, and I'm doing the most with it. But if I'm out and about doing other things that are naturally wired for normal people in 2022, it's like the opposite for me. It's like you doing this. You see what I'm saying? And so as I come to understand it, it's like, well, hell, how do I find my peace being alive today? And the answer is, for as long as I can, doing what it is that's against everything everybody's doing, and to keep on doing this. Just keep on doing this. And when the consequences come, let the Lord handle that just like he handled me all through this process. And so that's what keeps coming to me. I prayed about what I need to do last night before I went to bed. I was like, Lord, I honestly feel no closer to wanting to go back to do security than I did when I ran away from that security job at the end of it last year. I'm no closer to wanting to do that. I'm a happier person on the inside. I've done all the things that I needed to do to enjoy the time that I've spent away, but I've done nothing to inspire myself to jump back into that arena. Nothing in that vein at all. So it's like, you didn't instill in me to want to do some of the things that are necessary to fix my situation right now. Or, and my thing was, is there a new, updated role that you want me to play for 2023? Is there something that you can do for me that doesn't leave me in a position to where it looks as if everything's going to fall apart in my life every single day? And what came to me last night was no. God's honest truth. As sure as my name is BDF 44 in this camera, the answer was no. I don't want you to go back to security. I don't want you to go back into those arenas. I don't want you to do any of those things at all. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it feels like. You prayed very deeply not to return to those spaces. You were deeply unhappy when you were in those spaces. This is what the voice is telling me. You were unhappy in these spaces, as in myself. And when you were out there, you were not able to stay away from what it was that ultimately kept me connected to you. It was harder for me to be obedient. It was harder for me to be happy. It was harder for me to want to do certain things. And the closer I get to prayer, the closer I get to him, the closer I become to understanding how unorthodox and how awkward the positioning he wants me to be in actually is. You know, for example, when I started praying for certain people in my life, a very distinctive person. I ain't gonna say who it is because that's just not what my heart is telling me to do. But there's a very distinctive person in my life that the more I pray for them, the less I want to talk to them. The more I pray for them, the more I speak to God about them, the less I wanted to actually talk to them and be in their life and all that. It was like the closer I got to God, the more I realized that person was not supposed to be there for me. That relationship and that friendship was a result of me being away from God, not closer. So the closer I got to him, the further I got from that person. And that is kind of how this is going in regards to security work and some of these minimum wage jobs and stuff like that. The closer I get to God, the further I get away from doing the things that will help me in that area. And I'm asking God, like, why is that the case? Why is it that you want me to look as if I'm incapable of doing certain things that everyone needs to do, things that I just did 3 years ago, taking care of myself with no problem? Why is it that you want me on a spiritual space, from an inner peace space, to do things that'll leave me at a disadvantage and ultimately bring me more stress? So this is the disconnect. It's like I'm very clear that this is the case. More than clear. Concerned about it and don't agree with it, so to speak. It's like, look, regardless of what it is it looks like, in regards to how I feel and what little delusions I may feel myself to be going through right now, at the end of the day, certain things need to be paid for. So if I'm not working, obviously they don't get paid for unless there's a third option of money coming, for which I do not see. Maybe a bag of money drops at the doorstep or something like that. Maybe an opportunity comes in regards to what it is we're doing here that just isn't connecting to me right now. And because my spirit is aligned with him, he's telling me not to do such and such and such and such so that I can be nestled right in position to receive the blessing that is on the way. And that's kind of along the vibes of what I'm feeling. It's like, yes, this is unorthodox. Yes, this looks a certain way, but your faith is allowing you to step away from what is conventional and be exactly where I want you to be in the time that I've created you to be there. And because we're in such a weird world and the world is about to change, so to speak, I need people nestled outside of what is normal in the world to be where they are and have divine belief in me while I'm asking them to do stuff that don't make no damn sense so they can be in a position to do the things I need them to do later from the position from which I have you. So it's like, that is what it is, BDF 44. That is what my spirit keeps telling me. That is what comes into my mind when I'm like, Lord, let me go get a job. He's like, no, stay your ass in the house like I told you to. But they hit me with paperwork. They're going to come evict me. Maybe they will. But I got a plan for that too. So stay put. And as long as you do, you're going to see the blessings come to you. And it's like, yo, this is hard. This is a hard sell, man. As someone who wants to influence others by doing things correctly, as someone who's trying to influence others by saying to them that if you do things the wrong way, you're going to get the wrong results. Essentially, what I go into my innermost and find out is that the Lord wants me to do things the wrong way. And then essentially, I'm going to get the right results. And what I'm telling you is every day, I live with the burden of that, blended, just like I said a little earlier, with the faith, just like I was saying in regards to the Bible, blended with the faith that He can do something special. And as long as I stay connected to Him 24/7, it don't really matter what everybody's talking about. It don't even really matter what it looks like. And it don't even matter what actually comes. Because from that will be the blessing that He's trying to steer me toward. And from that, I will be able to be exactly what I need to be. If not for doing everything this way. So it's like, if you're going to send me to a space where things are horrible, because you want me to be close to somebody who's in squalor, you know what I mean? If He's leading me to straight poverty, like for no reason other than to just have it so that I know some homeless person randomly 2-3 years from now, I don't like that fate. I don't like it. For those of you who are wondering, I'm having a struggle with that in regards to God, man. You know, my whole thing, my ego's been wrapped up in being right in regards to this AMC GME thing. That's what it is. My ego has been wrapped up in being right, which means I don't want to go back to work because I'm supposed to be in a space where I don't have to no more. I've owned what I've owned. I've held what I've held. I did what I was supposed to do, and now I'm being cheated. And that's righteous. That's understood. The whole world knows I'm being cheated. Everybody knows I should have what I should have. Anybody who knows what I own, anybody knows how long I've been in it, knows what I should have. I ain't made it no secret. I'm not one of those people who care that much. I care about what I'm doing, not what it's worth, as it pertains to me. I don't care, honestly. So for me, it's like, if we can just stop these bad guys from rigging the stock market so that, you know, NBA young boy son and what's Floyd Mayweather's great grandson or what have you don't have their wealth snatched from that little boy when he's 56 years old because of the bullcrap they're doing right now, which I think is a real thing. Y'all know I think that's a real thing. And I told you, a lot of y'all celebrities that are rich right now, I don't think you get to keep your money. I don't think so. And I think these people are positioned to take back everything they've gotten from you, and they're going to do it in a way that makes it look like they're not there. And that's why we talk against them, because I don't think it stops with them just continuing to provide subordinates wealth money for killing their own people by way of suggestive nature and by way of exalting certain things that they can't reach for, so therefore they go out there and do bad stuff and all that. I was looking at a young rapper, Nardo Wick, yesterday. Young Nardo, I like some of his music too. But the message that he puts in his music is spin the block, we're killing everything all day. And what I saw was him in his car, you know, just a rapper picture. He had his money out, you know what I'm saying, had the bag, all that. And I saw the money and I was thinking to myself, better yet, the voice, that voice in my head that tells me all this stuff, that voice in my head said, that money only comes to him if he betrays God. He can't have that by way of the people who give it to him unless he betrays the Lord. He has to effectively kill people who look like him, young people who look like him in his music, in order for him to have that wealth. Now that wealth, that bag of money that he had, that's money he can give to his kids. He can provide them all that they need. Now whatever he does with his money, I don't know. I'm not going to assume, but a lot of rappers don't do this, that, and the third righteously with their money in regards to certain things. I ain't going to assume what young Nardo's doing. I don't know. But what I'm saying is this. That money was given to him. He earned it making dope music that happens to kill people. And as a result, he can do whatever he wants with that money. But if he doesn't do exactly what they want him to say and do exactly what he wants him to do, that money goes away from him. And he's back in the space like where I'm at right now. He has to do whatever he has to do to make a way. We need to understand and believe that young Nardo still deserves that money without telling people that it's okay to kill people that look like him. His talent, his music, all the beats, all that stuff should still be something that he should be able to get with his talent without having to invest in a culture that kills him. And my thing is, I look at that money and I realize he can't keep it unless he does that. He may not know that. He may not even want to change his message. Hell, he probably really, he's doing his thing. But I'm telling you that if his spirit told him that what he's doing isn't right, that money comes out of his kids' pockets. If for some reason he wake up in the morning and say, yo, I don't know, I just ain't feeling this no, this ain't what I'm doing no more. Then he can't meet his contractual obligations. The black car goes, the money goes, and all the bills that need to be paid are still there. So what is young Nardo supposed to do in this world? Keep spinning the block, keep shooting his ops, keep making the money, keep doing the bidding of Satan, so as long as he can do so, he can keep the money. He can feed his kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this functionality of the way the world works for us to reach for the stars and come up with contingencies on whether or not we can keep our hands clutched in regards to those stars. For me, it's like that's what we need to be focused on as a people, as a nation, as a world, is for the things that my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids are going to reach for when they become ambitious and thinking about how they want to make it in the world. When they go to reach, I don't want that middleman saying you got to kill yourself and your people in order to get what it is you're reaching for, son. I'm sick of that. I am sick of that. The notion that I lived my life away from what I thought success should be because I didn't want them to take my soul from me. I didn't want them to leave me with a conundrum that has me thinking, damn, let me lead my people in the wrong direction, or let me find myself in complete and utter debt. Debt that's manufactured by the lifestyle that is promoted by people who've invested in this before I got here. So now I want this crap too, and now I'm in the hole they were in to further reinforce it for other people to want it too, and find themselves in the holes to where they'll have to reinforce it and find themselves in the hole. And I'm just sitting here like nobody is holding the middleman accountable for none of this. And he just sits back and put that money back in his kids' pockets. Nardo Wick's money, he got a bigger portion of that because he invested all that in Nardo. So now Nardo gets the little bag. He gets about 3 or 4 or 5 of those bags, and he gives those bags to his kids. His kids ain't rapped a single song, ain't spent a single block, but his kids is getting the benefits of the generational wealth that Nardo's rapping. Nardo got his portion, but not the big portion. So Nardo's killing his people, thinking he's giving himself generational wealth when he's actually giving them generational wealth and effectively pushing along the agenda for annihilating Nardo's people. And you think they're going to leave Nardo 55 years from now with a bag that represents all that he's done? No, they want to put him in a box just like the rest of the people they're trying to spin. Hello. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. This stuff is not for our benefit. You look up and see little black girls twerking and talking about God knows what on camera for the world to see. Black people, white people, Asian people, everybody to see this black woman looking this way. You think that's for your benefit? And it's nestled right in position for you to say, nah, don't ever hold her accountable. Nah, she a victim. That she's a victim to this, but she's also getting up there telling your daughters to do that, and that. And the only way she's gonna keep that bag is if she keeps doing so. So she gonna get out of all the trouble. They gonna make sure she's straight no matter what happened. Because at the end of the day, she got to keep on twerking and keep on wearing them devil horns for your daughter to see. Facts. So these are things that's like I'm not confused by this. Because I have a relationship with God, I know He is. So I know it's real. You know, I look at the city girls, those are black girls, those are black babies. They ain't even fully developed, they ain't even grown yet. When I look at the city girls, I look at Meg and them, they're not even grown, bro. These are kids. These are kids with big bodies. Just like some of these NBA stars, they're kids, bro. No disrespect to these people, they got a lot of money, but they haven't lived. They ain't lived. So they're being swayed by people who are in position comfortably with power, who got this huge damn conglomerate behind them that they're none the wiser to. They just getting money, man. Making me rich, make me famous. I can get money, get back to my family. Ain't that the point? No. That's the question you need to be asking. Ain't that the point? No. That's the point they told you it was. It ain't the point. The point is connection with God. The very thing that they telling you not to mess with is the thing that you should be going toward. They made that super corny and whack and trash and make it the weakest thing in the world to go toward God, when God's the only one who can fix all the problems that they create. That's the funny thing about it. It's like you got an all-world entity that in its very nature can fix all your problems, know all your problems, know your innermost, all your secrets. What's more cool than that? Obviously, Nardo Wick splitting the block and so-and-so twerking and getting shot in the foot. Obviously. That's cooler than that. And that's the point. It's like, are we really this lost? Do we actually think that's what adds up? Do we think that's real math? Or are we just enjoying the folly? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, is everybody confused or are y'all just evil? Which is it? Because I think people are confused. I don't think people actually want to go outside and destroy stuff. But they're behaving in a way that feeds into the agenda of those who do. From on high, of course. They don't want to get dirty and light anything on fire. They just want to pay people to do their bidding while they sit back, smoke a cigarette, and watch it happen. And so, as a person who doesn't smoke cigarettes, I don't think that's very healthy at all. You got to keep your energy positive, especially if you have a lot of power, because where much is given, much can be taken away. Where much, the bigger you are, the harder you fall, that kind of thing. And I'm just watching a lot of entities continuing on the path of treating black folks like we ain't smart enough to see any of this, and are supposed to be continuing this process as if none of us are going to wake up and say, yo, no. And I'm telling you, no, absolutely not. And I'm praying for people who are also saying no. As I see them in these various celebrities who are saying no, or trying to subtly say I'm not comfortable, I'm like, yep, there go another one. Let's put them on the list. Cover them, God. Let's keep them in your arms so that as we move, we can continue to see you move through them, because that's ultimately what needs to happen in order to defeat what it is we're going up against. Suggestive nature. It's exactly what we're up against. It's spiritual warfare by way of suggestive nature. Reverse psychology. Reverse psychology. Reverse double back, and then reverse spin the block psychology. That's what you're dealing with. And it's all put in position to make you either feel like a victim or feel like exalted. Like you're the greatest thing ever, and everybody else is underneath your feet. All of that is corruptible energy that you should not want. It's corruptible. All of these different 7 deadly sins, they're corruptible. That's the secret to them. That's why you stay away from them. Not because the Lord don't want you to have any fun, but because the middleman gonna see you engaging in that, and he gonna know exactly what to do. That's why you don't do that stuff. That's what they didn't tell us. This is why God didn't want us to do such and such and such and such. I swear to you, religion has done a good job of neglecting to tell us that part. Very good job. And I think that's on purpose. Some of this stuff is very simple. But in order for certain religions to be on top, it got to be about conflict. In order for people to be able to make money, because it's always about money. As long as human beings are involved, they got to eat, they got to make money. So it's going to be compromised eventually. You're going to get somewhere where somebody's sitting there saying $1, please, as opposed to let's keep this going. And when you get to that point, you're going to see where the math falls apart every single damn time. And this is why the importance of not being self-exalted, understanding the 7 deadly sins and things can be corruptible. This is why you choose not to do those things. So you can stay aligned and evolve forth. But if we don't know that we need to align and that there's evolution to be had here, we're just going to keep on stomping ourselves away from that evolution by engaging in stuff that specifically keeps us from evolving. And that's what I think the middleman's job is, to keep us from evolving. Keep us from coming together and then flushing through him. Because as long as we're underneath him and he can continue to do things the way that he's been doing it mathematically, all this little weird stuff he's doing and the frequency that he's on, as long as we don't rise through it, he can stay there. But once we evolve through it, what happens then? What's the point, man? That's the exact point. We can evolve straight through this stuff if we just understand how they're getting us. How are they getting us? By way of what we want. Copy and place it to anything you can think of. They always get you that way. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.